On the regular season campaign. Good evening, sir. Campaign for the 5th season of competition in the Ice Super Speedway to the Thanksgiving break. But in order to get there, 113 laps are left to go with a shot. It's our first elimination round on the season. It's round number 13, the Draft Heart 300 from iRacing. 100 miles start to finish, and we welcome you into the live sim racing TV broadcast. And Andy, chase grid points to make it into that season 5 Ice Super Chase. You win it or you lose it here tonight. A lot of guys and a couple of guys battling on points. The storylines basically endless.
They are endless, and we're not at Talladega, so a lot can happen. A lot of things are going to happen. Points. A lot of guys, definitely like you said, looking for that too. So they're going to have to keep an eye on that. Also, options to get into the chase that happens next week, but for a lot of these other guys.
And let's bust out the pads of paper and the pens, and let's let you know what's going on here. Let's get the math going. Wins all Frank Wasilia, Brandon Chaburko, Shane McKee. The drivers now in the point standings. Wofford, Ball, and P4 set the. They have the only 2 positions in on points. In order to qualify for the ice points, and anybody in the top 5 in points without a win, Andy, is also given that invitation. So Matt Quick is there. So is Chris points. You have Frank Wasilia with a win. He's good. The next name that I look to, though, is Josh Hanner, 7th in points. Corey Henry, 12 points behind him. Rod Mitten, 22 points behind him. That 89 Quick to get in on points. The door is still open, though. Sounds easy, but there's a variety of different things that you can look at this race from, and that might make it difficult for some of these guys to formulate.
Yeah, like I said, there's only a couple guys, honestly, that can look at it two ways. Then they got to start looking at the points battle, realistic opportunity to get in with points. Obviously, anything can happen. Corey Rod, opportunity to get in on points. The problem is he's got to leapfrog a bunch of guys to get that done. He's got in the back of his mind know where that 89 is at all times. I'm sure his team is in a hurry. You can be in second and 1 lap later. We're just gonna have to let this thing play out. The problem is we got a long way to go before it's over.
And we're glad to have you with us. Corey Henry was in last week. He's out this week. Hanner admitting the closest they've been to the whole breakout. Before that, though, is qualified. Rounds to a close. We go down trackside for our opening ceremonies into.
Oh, say, can you see? That our flag was still there. Does that star-spangled banner yet wave?
Thanks to Jaden Berkey for performing tonight's national anthem, qualifying to a close, the final race on the regular season. With that, let's take a look at your LSRTV starting grid for the Draft Heart 300, a staple on the Ice Super. So much hangs in the balance. How about Tom Moustakis, the number 210 machine, pole position for the number 210 lead us to the green flag. Outside of pole to the 12, Corey Henry starts tonight second. Chris Bassini rolls from third on the inside row. At a Rod Flag in P5, he needs a win to move on.
Josh Hanner, the one who can make it in on points or a win. The 93 at James Pileski. Derek Walker in that 07 machine will start 8th. 9th goes to the 3. 02 will start 10th.
Justin Anderson starts 11th tonight. Paul Servant in 12th. It is a 13th for Jeff Giratano, the Wrangler Chevrolet, in 15th.
75, a Josue Ramirez will start 16th. 17th goes to will start 18th. 19th is the 89 of Matt Quick, and Shane McEachin will roll off 20th.
24th and 25th for Ryan Keese.
Roberts, Ramon Evans in the 83 starts 27th. 28th will be Glenn Hidrick. Yeah.
Final 3 drivers put down a time in qualifying. 34th, 35th for Seth. It's going to go off on the pace car. 113 laps, that's a long way. That's probably a good idea.
It probably is a good idea, but they want to stay out of trouble and see what they can do and lead a bunch of laps. Package times over the last couple of weeks. Seth the Merchant, Christian Peterson.
The green, there's a checkered at the end of it all. That's the con. Is green already 3 wide down to turns number.
Chris Piscini worked for the one. He's giving a big push now to Corey Henry. It's side by side.
And the inside, it quickly becomes the inside to play one large group as they come at a turn number 4. Top side for the 24 car, Josh Henry. War machine at this moment not locked in. He needs to beat Matthew Quick by at least 3 positions.
To see drop back, go to the back of the pack, ride it out. Maybe just kind of ride this thing out for the first half of the race. Moustakis, though, spot there on the outside lane, just in front, done out on the outside. A little bit of side drafting there through the corner. Rod Flag, though, he's going to flag. Look at the 3.
And that 3 machine already with a little on the DraftKings Chevrolet, but it is going to hinder him maybe in the slightest. Scheduled repairs as the night goes on. Top side, the 94, thinking about it. That's Frank Vasilia. He jumps up in front of Marcus, who back though very quickly, and now he's the odd man out top side because outside of the 26 and the 3, there's only 2 guys up. He needs to win tonight to make it to the iSuper Chase. He wants to become a 2-time iSuper Speedway champion. Chase berth is at
risk. He's up front where he needs to be, though. Falling back just a bit to that about 15th place now. Everybody single file. Looks like nobody wants to take the chance right now, Evan. It's typically not what we see at these races from these guys. Obviously, I think the battle for getting into this championship hunt and into the chase, I think it's all on the minds of every driver right now, as it looks like nobody really wants to really push the issues here early on.
And you'll talk to these guys. We mentioned it tonight, Andy. We'll mention it in the second race of the chase when eliminations come up. We'll mention it in the 4th, and we'll mention it in the finale. How do you not think about the points? How do the points not affect you? And a lot of guys will say if they're outside of the cut line now, if I'm points racing, I need to have a good race, so I'm going to be going for the win. They'll tell you, though, that they're not driving differently, but this proves that they are, because it's in the back of everybody's head that if you get in an accident early, then you have 0 chance in it. But if you drop back and you can't get back to the front, you're still there. You need to keep that car on track. That is the primary concern for a lot of these guys. 8 drivers, though, are locked in. They don't care. They're going to be doing whatever they can. They're going to be doing whatever they want to try to get another checkered flag and not open up the door for somebody else to join them. If you get another winner in this series, and depending on the points with the top 5 but the winners goes, you have 10 chase drivers right now. That could go all the way up to possibly 12 chase drivers based on how the points work. It could go all the way down to 8 tonight, again, depending on how all of this shakes out. So these guys that have wins, they want to win. They want to keep the competition field as small as possible. Look at Brandon Chaburko contact. The 0-2 of Mitchell Reeves gets chopped off by Chaburko, trying to come down in line, and now caution or wrecking behind them.
Oh, yeah, the 2 of Donnie
the
Giratano there. Big trouble for him. The 85 was involved also there. Paul Servant.
Osborne still rolling.
Yeah, man, wow, a lot of guys right there.
And we look back,
yeah.
there was the checkup by the 2 because everybody, again, Traburco cuts the nose off. I believe it was the O2, sorry, the Menard Chevy, and then the checkup behind him. It's a huge accident. Dana Osborne is done. Paul Servant, Shane McEachin, these guys are done. And you look back for some big chase names in this. Not only is there the initial accident, but the track is just blocked at that point when these guys try to come through here. And I believe one of the drivers trying to get through all of this is Rod Flag, who we mentioned trying to get into the chase, didn't get in the last season. He comes out of turn number 2, and he gets heavy contact. And it's a damaged car. There's still a long way to go, but if you're in that accident, if your chase hopes are on the line, that is pretty much the final nail in the coffin, and it comes at just lap number 8, the big one in turn 2.
Yeah, that's unfortunate right there. Just like you said, just and it started, and I'm not putting blame on anybody, but it started with a car who has nothing to lose. The 3 of Brandon Traburco, he's already got the win. He's locked in to this championship. So for Traburco, he's pushing it. He's going for the win, just like he does any other race. And I don't expect that to change from him, from any other guys, for that matter. You're going for the wins, but. Yeah, just a slip up like that, big wreck, bunch of guys caught up in it. And for guys that needed a big race, just like Rod Flag right there, needed a big win here tonight, obviously putting a damper on that effort here early on in this one. So a lot of time to go, like you said. He's got plenty of time to let that crew get that baseball bats out and get that thing beat up. But we'll see if he can not get himself back up into contention here as this thing goes on. Pit road open, though, and looked like most of our leaders went down there.
And Corey Henry began to come down pit road. He faked out, and nobody else was having any of it. So outside of Dan Harrington, who was going to go 32nd to 2nd. Corey Henry, who retains the race lead. Every single other driver, 29 strong, come down to the pit lane. They'll be led off by Frank Lucilia, the McDonald's McFlurry Ford Fusion into the pit lane. It looks like most everybody in agreement on 4 tires and fuel that time through. Already starting to look forward to lap number 113. You're not going to have exact fuel numbers at this point, but it's always better to have more fuel than to not have fuel. Plus, we talked about the tires, which is not something that you normally think about when you talk about restrictor plate racing, but we saw it in IROC, and based on the setup that these guys are running, it's not going to be as big of a factor as it was earlier in the night, but it's still definitely present, getting fresh tires and fuel to keep that car stable to be in traffic with. It's all about making that car as easy to drive as you can, putting yourself in the best situation. Nobody's taking gambles. Now, when we get to the final 20 laps, and you're running outside of the top 10, outside of the top 20, it'll be everybody making gambles. But for now, I'm liking everybody's mindset, and that's just to look forward to getting to the end of this one. Unfortunately, this accident, though, a big one, because it all started inside the top 5.
Yeah, and that's always the part you don't want to, happen. I mean, typically you think of a big wreck happening maybe mid-pack or so, but when they happen in the front of the pack, man, it's a tough one. That's you're relying on all these guys, and and we talk about all the time the visibility when you're tucked up at these tracks on that back bumper or somebody, you can't see anything in front of you. And a lot of times for a lot of guys, first thing they see is smoke, and then you don't know where it is, where it's happening, and next thing you know, you're on top of it. So it's a tough break early on, a big wreck in the front of the field. Not going to be a good thing at any time of one of these races. So everybody going to get reset here, try to get as much damage as they can fixed. Lots of miles stuff to go here. A few guys, though, are going to end up a lap down, some a couple laps down. So early happenings here is definitely going to shake things up here as we move along.
And through all of that carnage, no drivers are out of this race officially at this point. The guys that are hindered the most, 4 drivers go 1 lap down. Tommy Hall is 1 lap down in 29th. 30th, Derek Walker. Tom Moustakis in 31st. 32nd, Paul Servant. And then 4 laps down, Donnie Giratano, Dana Osborne, William Roberts Jr., Larry Camp. For the most part, I believe those final 5 names that I listed are damaged to the point where they would probably not be coming back on track. But at least for the moment, that window of possibility still exists because they're on the pit lane and getting those cars serviced. So the first caution flag going to knock off the first 10 laps in this race, and it leaves us with 103 laps to go at the start-finish line. Corey Henry in the AMD Chevrolet will be your control car. I like the move by Dan Harrington, stays out, goes 32nd to second position. He's on the outside of the front row.
Yeah, he's got a good opportunity here. The problem is this tire wear for a lot of these guys with those cars pushing up the racetrack here as they move along here in the run. So it's going to be something to watch here, these front two leaders on the old tires.
Pace car down and away. Corey Henry going to lead us back to it on the bottom of the racetrack. Green flag flies, back and away we go. And everybody tries to get him up to full song. Good restart, though. It looks like through the entire pack. Down to turn 1 and 2, 2 abreast as we get him up to speed. Henry on the bottom, work with the 94 of Frank Lucilia, who is good. Top side, it's the 82 of Dan Harrington. Needing a win, has got help from Brandon Chaburko, who's good.
Yeah, Chaburko, a little bit of damage on the front of that car. Able to fix a little bit of it, looks like, during that pit stop right there. Definitely somebody who likes to mix it up right now. He's all over the back bumper at Harrington. That's going to keep that outside line, at least for now, in contention here as they race into turn number 3 and 4 right now. Corey Henry, though, going to pull out just a little bit right now. Frank Lucilia get big push on the bottom side. That's going to push Corey Henry out all by himself now for that race lead. But here comes Harrington. A little bit of help from that 3. He's going to try to stay up to the front there, but not enough help on that outside line to keep it as strong as it needs to be right now. Bottom side, though, everybody trying to push down into that bottom side, trying to log laps, I would imagine, like they were trying to do in that first stint there. But Chaburko, Harrington, as Harrington pushes up a little bit, you see it right there for turn number 2, Evan. That's exactly what we talked about earlier in the IROC race. That same thing is going to happen here tonight as these tires wear off. So we're going to definitely have to keep an eye on that 82 and 12 here on this run.
And that 82 is now the lone car topside after Chaburko drops down to the inside of the racetrack. So now he's good. He is safe. But now it is Harrington. No help topside, and Chaburko now going to pull up in front. So that's one way to be the control car topside, is past the guy you were working with, though no momentum on the outside. So Chaburko jumps back to the inside behind Josue Ramirez. Great run so far for the 75. He's gone 16th to 4th at this juncture. The Bacardi Chevrolet, good run. 4th car in line on the inside of the racetrack. Everybody else is playing it safe, but Brandon Chaburko. The 3 wants to go, and sooner or later he'll get somebody to go with him. That's the opportunity, I think, if you're somebody that needs a win, that you'll take. It's a gamble, but you know the 3's got speed. Why not try something?
Yeah, you know he's got speed. You know he's going to punch a hole somewhere. He's definitely not a bad guy to sit behind and follow through, because you know he's going to be up front and get his way to the front right now. Look at the side draft he tries to play right there. Gets the 11 a little bit loose there. Kelly Dahl, that's going to drop McEachin down to that apron right now. He's just going to try to hang on, stay on that apron, try to move back up into traffic. But now they're going to go 3 wide with Harrington in the middle. Top sides at 22 of Ron Thompson. No help up there for him. He's probably going to fall back in line right here. Still 2 abreast, though, in that top 6 spot. Now we're going to have a battle for the lead, though. Lucilia had enough of looking at that rear bumper of Corey Henry. He's going to the front. He's got help from Mitchell Reeves.
And the top 2 jump down. They get it, and they're going to leave Brandon Chaburko out to dry. The 12 now on the inside of the 3. It's side by side for 3rd, but Frank Basilia and that 02 of Mitchell Reeves, they complete the pass. And Chaburko not giving up, using the side draft through the tri-oval. Close call there. He pinches him down to that, really the 4th lane that is there in the tri-oval, but it's not there when you get to turn 1. So the 3 is going to move back up, give him some space. Might be a gap in front of Josue Ramirez, but these guys know that Chaburko's fast, as I mentioned. So to a point, you need to work with him, Andy, but eventually, you know you're going to have to work against him.
Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you something. If I was that guy on the inside, whenever he's trying to pitch you down like that to get that side draft, I mean, look what he's doing. He's staying in the top 3 all by himself. I mean, he knows how to get that side draft to work. But, man, I'll tell you, being on the inside, that makes me nervous how close he gets to you. That obviously, looking at a little bit of damage he's got on the inside, already getting into somebody earlier on in this race. So he likes to just be there, you know, and it's almost like a thorn, you know, a thorn on a rose. It just you're like, oh my God, why me? You know, pick the next guy.
Oh, there he goes! Treberco hard into the outside wall. Caution flag is out. The 83 is involved. The 25 all in front of Josh Hanner, who somehow is not in it. Caution will fly. And I don't know how, but Josh Hanner better win this championship because he should have been done. 3 cars in front of him get smoked, and he closes his eyes, he locks up the brakes, and is not in it. That's the risk of that side draft, the pinch, Andy. Treberco pinching a little bit. Looks like just netcode that caught him. I can't blame Josue Ramirez there. You're on board with Hanner, though you see the accident in front of him come so close to being involved in it. His hope's now still alive.
Yeah, that's when you take a deep breath and just say, okay, I made it through that one. What lap are we on? Oh, only a 16? Oh, geez, you know, one of those for Hanner. But, man, what a great piece of driving right there. He did just amazing to be able to get wound up like he did there. And, you know his heart's racing right now on that one there. So Hanner's still surviving right there. That was a great look there on the replay, too, watching what he saw. Just literally, you just got to hold your line and just hope everybody clears out of your way. And they did, and good things. Good thing for him right there, because we have seen a lot of guys have some bad luck like that this year, this season, and it's not worked their way. But right now, for Hanner, breathing a little sigh of relief right there, I think, Evan.
And that accident will bring the end to Paul Servant's night. The 85 is done, as well as Donnie Giordano and William Roberts Jr. to the garage. Their nights will end a little bit early. Just shy of lap 20, or just shy of the 1/5 mark from Talladega. In the pit lane, will it be busy again? It looks like Lucilia wants to bring him down. He does so. And this is a great move in the end for Dan Harrington. He wasn't able to maintain that running on the front row. The 82 falls back to 9th, Andy, but that is still a huge gain of 23 spots by making that pit strategy call.
Yeah, that's a huge gain for him. You look at a couple guys that were right behind him coming down pit road. Christian Peterson, Seth the Merchant, also the same, starting in the back, 34th, 35th respectively, and now they find themselves going to be pushing for a top 10. They've done it for the last couple weeks here, and it's worked for them, getting the wins also too. So those guys just we talked to them last week and after the race there in our interviews, and they talked about how it worked so well, and that they were going to do it again next week. So here they are. They come all the way from the back here. Looks like they're going to restart just outside the top 10. It looks like, well, at least for Seth the Merchant, he's going to fall back a little bit on that pit stop. But Christian Peterson right there in the top 10. So it's working for those guys so far. But you see a lot of big movers early in the race right now in that top 10. Jared Haggerty, Glenn Hedrick, all making up a ton of spots here to be in the top 10 early on.
The field will catch back up to the pace car. No changes for position inside the top 5 on that cycle. The 94 of Frank Lucilia will continue to lead through almost about the 1/5 mark. We'll take this opportunity under the second safety clean caution flag of the night to step away. We'll take a quick commercial break. Back for the restart in just a few. You're watching the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series Draft Heart 300, the final race before we go playoff racing.
Cars are lined up on the grid. The Irish.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn 1 for the first time.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among.
Once its sights are set, nothing can stop the ferocious lion from capturing its prey. Relying on keen senses, lions search patiently before striking with alarming speed. Wait for it. Gotcha, Mr. Piece of Rubbish. He is truly the master of his environment. Do good, be a lion.
Back live as the lights on top of the pace car go out. A race start on tap for the second time tonight. We pace under the caution flag. A incident in turns 1 and 2. Brandon Chiburko now out of this race in the number 3 machine. He's out of the equation. A couple of big chase names were very close. They hang on. And now the field of 36 whittled down to just 26 on the lead lap, Andy. Restart will come up just like we did after the first one that knocked off 10. Another 10 going to the books. 20 laps going to be complete when we go back at it.
Yeah, 20 laps, obviously. Some, I guess, nervous jitters getting out of the way early for a lot of these guys. It's about this time we see a long green flag run, possibly some green flag pit stops for these guys. So we'll have to see how things shake out here on this restart. But some big movers we talked about being up front here. Ron Thompson going to start that second spot there, up 22 spots since the beginning of this race, and a couple other Jared Haggerty, Glenn Hedrick, all big movers here early on in the top 10. So a lot of different spot swapping going on here early in this race. Different strategies obviously playing out for some of these guys, and they're getting ready to get after it once again.
Pace car going to get down and out of the way. We'll see what happens on this run. At it, pace car down. Frank Wasilia knows a thing or two about racing. He's a champion in this series. He's a winner on the year. He is good to go for the chase. He wants to add to the numbers. Through the travel to the American Ethanol Go Zone. Green flag in the air. Back underway at Talladega. 93 laps to go. Top side, 3 drivers up there. The 22, the 02, the 75 of Ramirez. Bottom side, Rate lockstep with them. Down in turns 1 and 2. Nobody really breaking off. One car slow at the back of the pack, losing a lot of speed. That's Larry Camp, the number 33 machine. Slowed with damage. He can't maintain speed.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Obviously, without the draft, without help, it makes for a long night, especially on these long endurance races like we have here tonight, 300 miles. It's very lonely out there when you're running these at these tracks here. You don't see a car in front of you or behind you for many laps, and when they come on you in a hurry here when they're all going over 200 miles an hour. So up front, our leaders still side by side. It's been that way since the drop of the green flag. It's going to be that way again this time across the stripe. Everybody still stacked up 2 by 2 all the way through the field.
And it's that side draft, the pinch from the outside lane. It bit Brandon Chiburko with something not at his own fault, just a little bit of netco, but that's the risk you take. How bad do you want it on the top side of the racetrack? What are you worth giving it to be able to get that job done? At the moment, the top 10 drivers, only 3 of them started inside the top 10. They come from as far back as 34th. Through this, a lot of guys making moves early on 2 cycles of pit stops in this race. A lot of cars, there's a lot of opportunities to pass, but at that same time, if you're in just the wrong spot, wrong time, there's a lot of places where you can get stuck. The 93 of James Pileski started 7th, but that's about where he's sitting, Andy. He was on the inside of row 4 for the drop of the first green flag. He's on the inside of row 3. There's not a whole lot you can do where he sits because There's a car in front of you, car behind you, car's topside, so you almost have to wait for an opportunity to come to you. The 22 of Ron Thompson does just that, and he takes advantage of it. He slides down in front of Frank Musilia to the race lead, down the 94, back to the inside. Caution, though, trouble behind these guys, down at a turn 2. It's Greg Hooks.
Yeah, Greg Hooks coming off turn number 2 right there. Looks like just a little bit trying to get a push there from Wofford. Wofford, it looks like Hooks actually just kind of pushed up the track just a little bit, and it was right where you don't want to get pushed, right on that rear corner of the car right there. And lucky enough for these other guys, nobody else was involved right there. Spun by himself down to the apron, caution flag out, and we'll get to stack them up again and try it all over again as we look at the replay up on your screen right now. Wofford just right there, but right on that left rear corner of the car. That's definitely not where you want to be pushing when you're coming off the corner.
Yeah, and Hooks knows the 7 is there. These guys, ironically enough, Andy, they were playing it safe because they were 22nd on back. They were off of the lead draft. They were literally just riding around, and I think that would almost be a rare mistake on behalf of the 7 pushing him, Rodney Wofford, because you're not supposed to be on somebody's bumper in the corner regardless. I know Wofford had some pushing going on from behind. The 07 of Derek Walker was pretty close to the back bumper of him, but I mean, those guys are the guys that are playing it safe. They dropped back to avoid an incident, and it's them that caused one. So it's an unfortunate situation for that. And again, car gets tied off of the corner. You're on the left rear. There's a combination of factors, but I guess the moral of the story is if you're willing to drive in 22nd, a couple of seconds behind the pack, Andy, you should be willing to drive without pushing each other if you're trying to play it safe, because that's a risk.
Yeah, I mean, you see the guy push up a little bit, you got to let off. But like you said, he's had a little bit of pressure right behind him. Wofford did a couple other cars right on his bumper too, and that's another problem. If you lift a little bit or drag the brake, now you're going to get run into on your back. So it's definitely something. It's just one of them things, man. It's plate track racing, and sometimes you take your eyes off of something for 1 second, and something like that can happen also. So. Or you don't realize how close you actually are to that car until you make contact. So we didn't drive many green flag laps there, but pit road's open, and it looked like a bunch of guys came down pit road. A couple guys, though, stayed out. Looks like 4 cars, one of them being the 24 of Hanner, wanting to get a win here this evening. But it's Christian Peterson, Seth the Merchant. Those 2 guys all the way from the back of the pack. Right here they are up front here early. Only working lap 25. It didn't take them long, Evan, but they finally made their way from the back all the way to the front. Avoided those wrecks, and then now here they are up front, probably right where they want to be.
So Peterson goes to the race lead. He has teammate Seth the Merchant behind him. And these guys both already with trips to victory lane. 71 beat up a little bit. He's been in some contact tonight. Back end damage, front left damage, it looks like, on the number 71 Clorox target machine. So working with it, trying to fight through it. These guys part of one of the new teams, though, in this series, and pretty much all of the teams have changed over the last 1-2 weeks with the new charter system that has been introduced into the series. Basically, it's the veteran members of this series. They own cars, they can have numbers, and then they select the drivers that they want to drive for them. Those drivers are locked in to the races in a situation where there would be eliminations. So a lot of the teams are different, and this is really to look forward to 2016. But with that change of power happening before the chase, we always talk about teammates working together, evidently, and there's still guys that are still with the same people, but a lot of the time we talked about guys, Andy, working with people who they were buddies with but weren't on the same team as each other. Now a couple of those guys have teamed up. You'll see a couple guys working with new teammates, too, that we're not used to seeing pairing up either, and to make that change just 2 weeks before the chase, you got to work that chemistry very quickly.
And you're going to have to use the rest of this race probably to get familiar with some of these new guys. But, they've been racing together all season long here. And for some of the veterans have been racing with these guys for a few seasons. So, they, for the most part, these guys know how each other races and what they like to do. But at the same time, it's one of them things we're all creatures of habit. So, when you get running with these guys week in and week out, exactly typically what they're going to do, how they race, how they come off the corners, how they push down the straightaway. So, I don't. It's all about gaining trust and confidence in each other, whether you're the one pushing or you're the one leading. So, just working together. Communication is a big key when you're working together with somebody. So, as much talking as you can do, and warning guys at checkups and warning the people of lap cars coming, because that guy behind you, when he's right there, we say it all the time, you're tucked up on there, you can't see anything out the front. So, communication's really key when you're working with a partner.
There's no doubt that there's a lot of trust involved in these kinds of races. If you weren't with us 1 week ago, let's give you the recap from Talladega. The Atlantic Marine Classic, one of the new events to the iSuperspeedway calendar, took place, and it was the final feature race format. So the A and B main in action last week, and it was Seth the Merchant who won that. He as well picked up the $20 I-5 bonus for backing up an I-5, or a top 5 finish right at the previous week, going on to take the victory. Seth led 7 laps en route to his victory, and Christian Peterson, by the way, came home second behind him, and it's Peterson and Merchant 1-2 right now. Alex Halladar, career best P3 last week. Brandon Chaburko 4th. Josh Ball came home in 5th with 4 laps led. Chris Bassini in 6th, 7th from Matt Bontempi. Lead lap higher, 15 laps led for Rodney Wofford in 8th. Chad Keane, Dana Osborne 9th and 10th in that one. So the I-5 bonus for tonight is $5. So basically, if you're new to the series, you get a top 5 last week, you win tonight, you get $5, and if nobody wins it, it gets accumulated on, so you could win. I think the highest we've seen, Brandon Chaburko got $65. The Merchant took 20. He would not object to taking 5 more tonight. The drivers eligible are Brandon Chaburko, Seth the Merchant, Josh Ball, Alex Halladar, and Christian Peterson. I can know that at least Chaburko and Ball are out of that running.
Yeah, 2 guys out of that running. It's amazing how that. I'm not surprised that the pot gets up as high as it does, 65. $5 a race it goes up. I mean, that's a lot of races right there that nobody wins it, and it's not surprising. The competition of the field, how many cars are here, anybody can win on any given week, and it shows with that bonus. But when you're able to win it and win it pretty significantly, get a pretty decent amount of cash, it makes it even that much more sweeter to get that win.
We're going to come back to the green flag this time after 3 caution flags in the opening 25 laps. These drivers trying to settle in with everything on the line. It'll be quarter distance at the start-finish line. It's the number 71, though, Peterson to Merchant topside. Do they try to line each other up and get something going? Green flag flies, back and away we go. Pretty even restart, top and bottom. You see that 24 machine up top. Josh Hanner needs to gain 3 points on Matt Quick at this moment. He is doing so with Matt Quick running in 20th, so if the race were to end now, Josh Hanner would fight for a title. That will continue to change throughout the evening, just as the momentum changes, just like that. Now the bottom pulls strong, 1 car length for the 71.
At 1 car length, not going to stay for too long right now. They're going to be side by side heading back into turn number 3. The advantage, though, will be through the corners for the 71, even though Josh Hanner and Frank Fusilli are up top, giving Seth the Merchant some help right now to where they're going to take the advantages off the corner right there. You see it right there. Seth the Merchant takes about a half a car length lead, maybe a little bit less as it starts to shrink now as they get to the start-finish line. It's going to be a close one, but Seth the Merchant's going to get that lap lead right there. 12 100ths of a second, so that would have been a pretty incredible finish right there if that was the case. But lots of time left to go here. Seth the Merchant trying to make that outside work, probably trying to make it work to get out in front of Christian Peterson, but right now it's looming pretty tough thing to do.
And the 42 trying to get in front, and you might expect that team car on the bottom to lift, but the league rules say you can't lift to let people in line, so you got to keep trying at it. The outside, though, they're still slowly losing numbers. It's the way that it always is. Everybody behind this lead pack that I'd throw the number at maybe 10 cars. It looks like the magic number is about 10 for the guys that are immediately together as Hanner drops to the inside of the racetrack. Other than that, if we can get a wide angle of the now 30 drivers that had started now down to 26 guys on the lead lap, there is a huge distance between between the race leader and the last car on the lead lap. A lot of single file outside of the top 10.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we've seen on every restart so far tonight. The problem is that it's still had some issues here with that. So the single file racing, it hasn't taken away the danger fact for these guys to get in accidents, because it's still been able to happen. So single file though, everybody's dropped down to the bottom, and with the single file you see a lot of checking up, and that's exactly what's happening right here around that 5th spot there. Haggerty is right there. The 22 is also right there of Ron Thompson. So those guys checking up just a bit. Behind there, when it starts to accordion like that, you see guys pop out of line, and that's what you see back there with James Pileski now leading the outside lane, but that's in that 13th spot.
Top side inside of the top 10, and he's got company. 22 of Ron Thompson digging, trying to get something going. The 75 of Josue Ramirez goes. The 94, the 42. All the cars from the defunct top lane on the restart now back up there, trying to get something done. And now look at the 82, thinking about it. Dan Harrington does, and he does so when the 12 can't do it. No, they'll leave him 3 wide. Does this work, though? 22, top side, Ron Thompson, lead at the start-finish line, and he got him. And they'll bring 3 cars around to the race lead. Look at the run. Josue Ramirez and Busilia jump down in front of the 82. They make that pass relatively good. It's a risky move, because what we normally see, Andy, is somebody slow in the middle and somebody doesn't want to work with them, so they go 3 wide, and then the guys behind them say, well, the second lane's much faster. They work with that guy. You get left out to dry. A gutsy move for Ron Thompson. It got him the race lead. Didn't last long, though, as Busilia pushes the 75 to the front.
Now, Josue Ramirez got a really nice run there off of turn number 2. Was able to jump out on the outside of Ron Thompson. That gives him the advantage and now the lead. So the top 3 single file. 4th, Dan Harrington, who was left in the middle. Probably a good chance to drop all the way back to the end of the pack right there, but finally was able to get some help. Set the Merchant right now is the one giving him the help on the outside, but just below Set the Merchant, there's his teammates, and they finally found each other. It took a while, but now they found each other. Does Seth drop down in front of him to work with him? He sure does. Oh, no, he's going to look back to the outside. Top side. Still getting a lot of move. Oh, Set the Merchant goes to the bottom. That's going to leave Corey Henry getting a little bit tight.
Really
right there.
tight.
Push him up outside of the racing groove on the outside. He's going to be left out there to drive for the moment. Able to get back in line, though, is now Josh Hanner. Drops behind Harrington. They got some work to do as they're falling back on that outside lane.
And he was lucky to keep it out of the fence, and he goes to the bottom. It's going to be inside of the 10 of Ryan Keese, but that's 12th spot for the driver that started in second. So a tough break for Corey there, back to B12. I think that was 5-6 spots in that lap. And now we single file out again, and we leave some more guys. Top side this time, it's the 82 of Dan Harrington going backwards. You'll go single file, we'll run single file. You'll think everybody's on the same page. And then you get 2-3 laps like that, and we single file them out again.
Yep, and that's exactly the accordion effect that's happening. You know, the guys in the middle of the pack, we shall say, they get such a huge run coming up on those guys that they don't want to lift, because you lift, you lose your momentum, and they end up pulling out to the outside lane. We just saw it right there up front with the 22 of Ron Thompson. He had such a run on Frank Busilia, had nowhere to go, didn't want to lift. He pulls out to the outside. Nobody comes to help him right there. So Set the Merchant, he's going to pull up on the back bumper of Busilia. Top 4 now, or 5, make that. Almost 6. That's the 11 now of Kelly Dahl. Starts to make his way around the 22 of Ron Thompson. Ron Thompson, no help on the outside. He's falling back.
And he was just the one making moves 3 wide to get to the race lead. Now he's on the short end of the straw and sliding back to the outside of the racetrack. Frank Busilia, the constant in all of this. He wants the top spot, so he goes high through the tri-oval, and 2 veteran drivers there teaming up on Josue Ramirez. DeMerchant with the assist, and now the 94, the 42 go back to 1-2 at this point. Couple of guys talking at the moment. The 11 of Kelly Dahl, Jeff Figlin, 6th and 7th on track. Having a debate over how hard they should be pushing. The 38 wants them to go. The 11 is content with riding P6 now, and they're having a discussion over the radio on their variance of opinion.
Yeah, always trying to figure out what these guys are doing. We talked about communication being a big key to how to get around these racetracks. So even if you don't agree, at least you're communicating. You can figure out what each other's doing. As you see the field going around the 26 of Rod Flag, so definitely not the night that he's wanted here. Damage early from the first caution, and needing a win to get in. His chances of that are definitely out the picture right now here tonight in this one. But single file all the way through the top 10. It's Corey Henry on the outside. He's found Ron Thompson, and now those two are going to try to work their way back up to the front, but they got a long way to go as that bottom line continues to just be the place to be.
We know that the bottom, the place to get the job done, but all the passes topside. So it's a game of chicken. If you're cool with it, run down on the bottom. If you want to get going forward, you ride topside. Again, though, all these drivers aware the fact that they have to go 300 miles tonight. And actually, at this moment, we just passed over the 1/3 mark from Talladega. So getting pretty good through this one after a couple of early caution flags. These guys trying to get some green flag laps, get settled down, because you're constantly speeding up, slowing down, speeding up, slowing down with green and then yellow, green and then yellow. It's hard to settle into a rhythm, and maybe late in the race it would be worse, but early there's a lot on the line. As we mentioned, there's no quick fixes, so some guys, their championship hopes have already come to a close tonight in some of those earlier 3 accidents on the racetrack. Other guys are still out there, so get into a momentum, start logging laps. You can actually calm yourself down a little bit, just get into a flow of things, and then at the end that heart rate's going to get back going. But take it easy on yourself a little bit early. Jose Ramirez tries to jump at a line from P3. It doesn't work. He falls back to P5. Close call there behind by the 23 of Jared Haggerty. Big checkup on the inside of the racetrack with the 24 and the 38. That one came very abruptly into the corner, but nothing comes from it. And I think a big part of the reason why those guys get away with it, well, they were single file. Your lead draft of 16 cars, putting a lot of time on 17th on back, Andy. Justin Anderson, the leader of that secondary pack.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised we're going to see something like this with a couple different packs like this. But the problem is for those guys, too, is that we stay green flag racing. They got to be able to stay in a line if they want to make up any ground. Any type of race and any side-by-side action is going to continue to let them fall deeper into a hole. Over 5 seconds now, which is a lot of time here at the plate tracks, is the 38 now with Jeff Figlin. All by himself, his lonesome self there on the outside. He's going to end up falling all the way back to the end of this lead pack, and all these guys trying to shake things out right now. You see a lot of gaps in between the cars. They're not all right on the bumper trying to push the issue. So I think the first few accidents have really caught these guys' attentions as far as what the possibilities. If they want a chance to make it into this championship, they need to settle down in the early on and then fight it out at the end. So 40 laps are going to be in the books this time by. The laps are starting to click away now, Evan. Now your sight's set to turn on. All right, not survival. Now we got to start thinking, when do we got to pit? Who's going to come down and pit with us? You obviously can't pit by yourself at these tracks. When you get back out on that track, you're not going to have any speed. So I think the focus for a lot of these guys right now is not get to the lead. It's we got to figure out our pit stops, when we're coming in, and are we taking 4 tires? Are we taking 2? And the strategy is going to start to play into this one now.
You need company to the pit lane, but too much company sometimes can lead to accidents. One of the hot spots for problems on track comes when you got a whole lot of cars trying to slow down from 205 miles an hour at a turn number 4 down to the pit lane speed of just 60 miles an hour, getting into their stalls. And then they also have to be in communication with each other on what are we doing tire-wise. Obviously, you're going to fill it up on fuel. How many tires are you guys doing? Right sides, 4 tires. Multiple things can be involved in it. That I'd say 50-50. These guys get on and off of the pit lane. Each individual driver now, in my eye, you can have a bad pit stop and not wreck, Andy. So when I say 50-50, I think half the time they come down and they leave on the bumper of their partner. But equally as much as we see that, a lot of the time, there's a numerous amount of factors on why this is, but you'll exit the pit lane. That guy that you need to be drafted with is either way in front of you or way behind you. You guys have to slow down to come back together, and it costs you multiple seconds of at-speed lap time. A lot of time is lost just by having to correct that.
Oh yeah, but you know, I mean, a lot of times you got to be able to say, hey, we gotta hook up with someone. We can't be out here by ourselves. So you take the I guess, chance to lose that time to try to make it back up in the draft. So it's one of them things. You just got to be on sequence. And if your pit crews are on, your communication is good, then chances are you're going to come out with the guy that you are. But you're right about that 50-50 chance, because a lot of it comes down to that pit road entry, then getting into your box. I mean, a lot of things factor when it comes to green flag pit stops, and that's why you don't want to come alone. It's better to come in a pack, but like you said, getting on a pit road from 205 miles an hour to get slowed up to 60 and not run into the guy in front of you, not take out the cone, not spin out, it takes a lot of skill, and it's not the easiest thing to do.
And it almost looks like these guys that are starting to get ready to do that, because they've been single file, we know that, but they've been fighting, and the guys that normally like to jump out of line, they're playing nice for the time being. This is the time when you can't have a lot going on track, because you're telling your spotter, talk with this guy, you're talking with the other drivers on your radio channel in the team speak. What are we doing? What lap are we going to come down at, and try to get all of that strategy squared away. This time through, though, just about at 2/5 of the way through at Talladega, and we quickly approach the halfway point on the other side of the green flag pit stops that are still to come, with Busilia in front of the field and behind them. The back cars in this lead draft, they're starting to fall off a little bit. The names of Connolly, Thompson, Mitten, and company, they're starting to slide. Corey Henry starting to slide. You don't want to lose time before the pit stops, because if you're planning on taking the same amount of tires as those guys in front of you, you can't enter pit road 4 seconds behind them. So we know teammates are going to want to be together. 4 wide, lap traffic. Oh, the 11 of Kelly Dahl got tight when they tried to clear Rod flag. That was almost bad. They stay out of it, and the team cars back to 1-2. It's the Merchant, the push from the 71 of Peterson.
That's just amazing at the late run we go here, how much had the 11 of Kelly Dahl pushed up the racetrack like that. And that's one of them things where instinct kicks in, where you want to let off the throttle, but you can't. You physically can't do that here. Otherwise, the mistake will just be that much more magnified, and you'll end up falling deeper in the field and maybe lose the pack right there. But we can watch these cars as they come off the corner. No longer are they hugged to that yellow line. They're all drifting up as they come on the exit of the corner. So it's definitely showing. These tires are definitely wearing, and we're at the point, I believe, when these guys come down, you're going to see a lot of them just taking 4 tires, not chancing it with just 2. You got to be comfortable in the car in order to make these moves that these guys are doing, and to be able to have confidence in your race car that it's going to go where you want to put it. So you can watch these guys this time as they're going through 1 and 2. When they come off corner exit here, it's just like all of them off the line, up into the middle lane, then all back down. So tires are definitely starting to become a factor here, Evan, and later as we go in this run here. Word has it on the radio, though, in about 1 to 2 laps, you're going to start seeing a lot of these guys start to peel off. We have contact. The 088 gets into the back of the 11 right there on the entry.
Heavy damage.
Heavy damage to that front end of that machine, but looks like the 11 checkup or something right there, getting tight on entry into the corner. Definitely affected right there, but the 088 of Conley, lots of damage right there.
Well, take a look at the side-by-side replay. A lot of guys not happy with Kelly Dahl, but I was watching the onboard with the 11. There was a checker in front of him that he reacted to, and he got hit from behind. It's just the accordion effect like you'll see with a fender bender on the freeway. There's eventually going to be one driver that can't get on the brakes hard enough, and unfortunately, Kelly Dahl gets damaged, and that 088 of Kent Connolly up as well. To turns 3 and 4, lap number 48. Green pit window First service, race leader Seth the Merchant comes down. Teammate Christian Peterson follows. They're joined by a couple of other guys, Josue Ramirez, Josh Hanner, the 23 of Jared Haggerty, the 10 of Ryan Keese. They're 3 wide down to the pit lane.
Yeah, that just shows you right there, 3 wide coming down the pit lane. A couple of guys missing their pit stall right there. Looks like 71 had to back up just a little bit on his pit stop. The 088 of Ken Conley having trouble getting into his pit box. Seth the Merchant, he's out and away. Christian Peterson, he's going to have to slow down just a bit if he's going to get hooked up with his partner again. Fortunate for them, a lot more than just the 2 of them came down pit road. So everybody, it looks like 4 tires, fuel, and they're all heading out of pit road now.
So they get serviced up and out. Now come the guys that stayed out. Frank Wasilia down at the pit lane. They're joined by Mitchell Reeves, James Pileski, Ron Thompson. It looks like all 4 of those cars with a good entry at the start-finish line there. End of the pit lane, rather, for that matter. Kelly Dahl also down pit road. Corey Henry is in. Justin Anderson will take over the race lead. But Wasilia down to the pit lane, down to the number 4 pit stall to get serviced. Good entry. Right side tires going to go up on the McDonald's McFlurry Ford Fusion. 2 tires as they get the first can of virtual Sunoco race fuel in. They drop the car. It is a 2-tire stop and away for Frank Wasilia. And this is a pretty good exit because not all that far behind him, his partner onto the pit lane, James Pileski. Oh, the 94, though, did he just spin the tires coming off of the pit lane? He almost spun out. And now he's lost touch with those guys.
Yeah, he did right there. I think that's a product of those left side tires being worn right there. And now he's going to lose his drafting partners here. Ron Thompson's going to get way ahead of him now. Pileski also. And now Frank Wasilia is going to be the one that's going to lose out on this situation. Going to be all by himself here once things start shaping up. So that's a unfortunate mistake right there. But that's exactly what to expect there when you're getting back up to speed here and you don't have 4 fresh tires. You only have those right sides.
So where do they line up with those that have already completed service? It's Wasilia. He leads them out of turn 4. You see Josh Hanner. Hanner pitted with that larger group of cars, but because the 94 of Frank is not with his drafting partners, not much difficulty for Josh Hanner, Ryan Keese, and Jared Haggerty to pass him. And this is the speed differential of A, having more cars, and B, getting out there before Andy as those guys up to full song, and they win that exchange of pit stops. And 24 makes the pass on those guys that pitted a lap later than they had initially.
And he's got a couple great veterans right there pushing him too, the 10 of Ryan Keese and the 23 of Jared Haggerty. So those 3 cars, we'll keep an eye on them as this goes on here and see if they can stick with each other the whole time. Looks like Pileski and Thompson were able to hook up with Frank Wasilia. I'm not sure if they slowed up to try to get him or what the situation was. Rod Mitten's going to tag along in that. And these those 4 cars are going to be able to stay in the draft of Haggerty, Hanner, and Keese. So now you're going to have yourself a nice little pack here of about 7 cars. If the 92 can stay with him right now. Looks like he's having a little trouble staying with the draft at the moment. But we'll see how things will shake out here as some more guys still needing to make their pit stops here.
Rittenauer in from the lead.
Top 5, and 3 of them come down pit road this time. Here is the 89 of Matt Quick. The 87 is also going to come down pit road. Ray Rittenauer and also Justin Anderson.
So Rittenauer comes in from that top spot, the furniture row, number 87, showing some love for Martin Truex Jr. down at the pit lane. 4 tires for these guys. That's going to cost them a little bit of time in comparison with the guys that they pitted, or rather in comparison to the guys that had pitted together earlier, taking just 2 tires, race off the pit lane. Rittenauer, the first one in of the 3. He's the last one to exit the pit lane, but as they have to get up to speed and wind them back up, eyes turn to that 24 to Josh Hanner, already down the back straightaway. He's well about in front of them. And obviously that 24, 10, 23 group, throw the 93 of Pileski, Thompson the 94. Everybody now back up to speed. That's the group that wins this exchange of pit stops. Shane McEachin, Glenn Hedrick, the 2 drivers that had to pit. 28, 21 come down to the pit lane. So Hanner going to lead it this time across.
Yeah, he is. As those guys come down pit road, they're going to actually lose a lot of time here. So it just shows that those older tires, when you're out there that long, you typically see that at the intermediate tracks, Evan, is when the guys stay out too long on those tires, they lose a lot of time to the guys when they short pit. So I'm not saying these guys short pitted here tonight. I'm sure they're stretching it as long as they can with the fuel, but they definitely you could see the advantage that they're going to have here, and now it's going to put those guys a little bit further back than what they're going to want here. But a 5-car breakaway, it looks like we got for the lead. These 5 guys right now with a pretty decent, sizable lead, 1.1 second over Rod Mitten right now, and then Rod Mitten all by himself, of course. It's a ways back to the 75 of Josue Ramirez there. 7 seconds off of the race lead right now. So this round of pit stops definitely mix things up.
And the difference with 7 seconds, how long's the pit stop? 14. Which means that those guys, 4 tires, and the guys inside the top 5, 2 tires. So you must think that 2 tires is worth 7 seconds. I'll take older left side tires for a 7-second gap if you're with a group of cars. But if you get a caution flag at the end of this kind of a run, those 4 tires are stronger in traffic, in big packs, but I like the 2-tire call by those guys to give them that much time. Now the question is, if you take 2 this time, maybe that obligates you to take 4 the next time, and then those guys can take 2 who took 4 this time. So it's always a head game. They know what they're doing. I think, though, if you take 4 tires this time, that group 7th on back with Josue Ramirez, Seth the Merchant, and Christian Peterson, they're on the radio right now talking to each other. Seth came over and said, all right, let's ride in line. Let's do our thing. They're closing in a little bit. They are in a good spot to take 2 tires next time down to the pit lane. I'm not sure, as those guys up in the top 5, though, if I would go 2 times in a row with just right sides with the tire degradation we've seen.
Yeah, I think they just wear out too much to make that gamble the next time. It's just going to make that car that much harder to drive through the corners and the handling. And typically we don't talk about handling at the play tracks, Evan, but with this latest build, the handling's come into play, and I think it's made the racing that much better. Obviously, the longer green flag runs that we have, the wider and bigger gaps we get from these little packs that we end up with. But the good part with that is that it just makes it interesting. It makes a strategy come into play here, and then it magnifies, I think, your pit road entry a lot more. It magnifies your pit road exit, trying to get around those corners on that flat surface with as much speed as you possibly can without getting into trouble like we saw Frank Fusilia do as soon as he came off a pit road that last time.
And it's top 5 single file, and I don't expect them to change that. They are good at the moment. It's really 2 sets of single file. The lead draft, the second group. There is a third group of race cars, P12 on back, and Matt Quick is not in a comfortable position right now. The number 89 machine is 12th position, 17 seconds behind your race leader. He's working with Justin Anderson and Ray Rittenauer. Not all that far back is a 4th group, 20 seconds off of Shane McEachin, Derek Walker, and company. But Matt Quick right now, P12. Josh Hanner, P1. Into tonight, Matt Quick had 5th in the championship standings with 319 points. 316 points for Joshua Hanner. And Hanner right now is going to get 12 more points than he. So as it sits now, Hanner would be in, Quick would be out. And the 89 number Chevrolet machine, he needs to get something brewing at this juncture. So he is really hoping on a caution flag also. And then a couple of guys straggling back. Drivers who lose a lead lap in all of this. Rodney Wofford loses a lap with some damage. So does Greg Cooks. Kent Connolly, James Pileski also 1 lap to the negative. Rod Flag is the only other driver still out on track. P26, 3 laps down. 27th on back have gone to the garage.
Yeah, those obviously going to the garage from the earlier accidents that had happened here, all grouped around the beginning of this race. So lots of guys out, lots of guys having some issues. Guys like Rod Flag needed a win to make a bid for a championship. He's out. Then you got other guys that had nothing to lose, like Brandon Chaburko, who's out of this one, who had nothing to lose. He's already secured. He was gambling. He was going for the race lead and had that issue with Josue Ramirez early in the race. So it's a mixed bag of who's back there, and the guys that couldn't afford to have issues having some issues. Then you got other guys up front that are running currently that are already locked in. and you got guys like Josh Hanner right now, who's leading this thing, who either needed a win or needed to gain points on Matt Quick, and he's doing both currently. So he's got to be pretty happy where he sits right now. Top 5 though, single file, and pulling away as they work their way down to the stripe again. It's been pretty steady, Evan. Lap after lap, it's either they've gained a little bit or they've lost a little bit, but it's right been there, hovered around that 7-second mark. So like you said, what they're doing right now, just saying single file, there's no point in jumping out of line and trying to race this thing out at this current moment. What they're doing right now is just fine. It's getting the job done. And, you got to like that if you're in that lead pack like that, knowing your chances. You got, a 1 in 5 chance of pulling this win out as long as it stays green. So you got to be pretty excited. It definitely narrows your odds down from that to being, everybody all grouped up together on a restart.
It's exactly like we talk about these guys that have won already in the season. Trying to win again is that they want to keep the chase field as small as possible to give them the best shot. It's the same thing for these top runners. You want to keep single file. You want to keep it just you guys so that the chances of you winning this race are as good as possible. But those guys back there, 0.6 of a second to the positive. That's the difference between 5 cars working together and 6 cars working together. A little bit better. You see Ron Thompson keeps jumping out of line. That's killing the momentum for these guys inside of the top 5. And as this green flag run continues to stretch out past the halfway point in the Draft Heart 300, let's take your iRacing.com midway race break, presented by iRacing.com, the leader in motorsport simulations and the official sim racing partner of NASCAR. We'll go down to the entire field at lap number 62. Josh Hanner, your race leader, trying to make it to the chase with a win here tonight. Ryan Keese behind in second, Jared Haggerty third, Ron Thompson fourth, and Frank Basilia P5 inside of that lead pack. P6 and now just 5 seconds back is Josue Ramirez. Seth the Merchant is 7th, 8th is Rod Mitten, Christian Peterson 9th, and 10th is Dan Harrington.
Mitchell Reeves right now in the 02 is running 11th. 12th goes to Shane McKeechin in the 28. The 07 at Derek Walker runs 13th. 14th is Chris Passini. 15th is the 89 of Matt Quick. The 16th spot right now belongs to Justin Anderson. Ray Rittenauer is 17th. 18th is Corey Henry. And Kelly Dahl is 19th. And rounding out the top 20 is that 21 machine of Glenn Hedrick.
And Hedrick, the last driver on the lead lap. 1 lap down in 21st, the 38 of Jeff Figlett. Ronnie Wofford, 22nd, 1 lap down. 1 lap down in 23rd as well for Greg Cooks. Same song and dance for Kent Connolly and James Pileski, 24th and 25th. 3 laps down is Rod Flagg. He's beaten and battered. He's seeing his championship hopes fade into the Talladega sunset, needing a win tonight to fight for a title. He's 26th. Out of the race in 27th, Ramon Evans, 38 laps down, almost to the point where he's still on track, but I say out of the race, you're not going to win it from there, and I think soon he'll run out of laps to even pass other guys that he might pass after they rag out. Not a whole lot of time left in this one. Behind him, Brandon Chaburko retired in 28th. Daniel Ferguson on the racetrack in 29th position. Larry Camp 30th, still out there logging laps, 51 laps down.
Yeah, and cars that have pretty much called it quits here tonight. We're getting to that point. Tommy Hall right now sitting 31st. He's one of them. Tom Moustakis, who started on the pole, it's 56 laps down in 32nd. Paul Servant 33rd. 34th is Donnie Giordano. Dana Osborne is 35th. And William Roberts Jr. rounds out the field in 36th.
This has been your iRacing.com midway race break. For the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, visit iRacing.com today. Josh Hanner continues to lead the field, but the gap is closing in to the point that I think by the time we got to come back down to the pit lane, it might just be a lead pack of 11 cars. We're going to find out if the gamble pays off, though. Past halfway, no longer counting up. We're counting down in Talladega, Alabama. We'll take this opportunity under the green flag racing conditions to step away, and we go LSRTV nonstop, so you don't miss a moment of the action. The Draft Heart 300 on LSRTV.
Truex on the outside, contact made. 56 slides it into 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval, and that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself, and they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building two tracks in one. It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result, and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it.
We're back live at Talladega, and it continues to close the gap. The top 5 runners right now in the Draft Heart 300 continue to run single file. 6th on back, join in the party and do it quickly, Andy. And, you know, skeptical maybe at the beginning, but the 4-tire call on that first trip down to the pit lane, leaving the window of opportunity open maybe to go about trouble, though, inside of that lead group. Jared Haggerty turned around into the outside wall. Oh, he collects Jose Ramirez. Caution is out. And that is gonna get interesting. At a turn number 4, Haggerty gets tight. He'll catch the fence. And Ron Thompson, tight, the number 22 machine, is the one that comes up and tags him. And after that, those guys, I mean, they go spinning down to the apron. And Haggerty okay until he comes back up. Thompson into the fence, his night is done. Basilia's into the fence, his night is done. And then Haggerty comes up and takes out Jose Ramirez, so the 75 gets clocked. And just like that, we go from thinking we had it all figured out to not knowing. It's a brand new race.
Yeah, it's definitely a brand new race, and it's probably going to see 4 tires here. But, yeah, that lead pack, they were coming up on some lap traffic, or they were dealing with this lap traffic over the last couple of laps here, and you could see the old tires are just making these cars push up, and that's exactly what happened to Haggerty right there. Got up into the wall and had a little bit of help from a push from the 22, and then Jose Ramirez just had nowhere to go, and Haggerty came back up the racetrack like that, and That's going to put his night out of commission for the 23. Haggerty was having a great run running in that top group there, and it all comes to an end right here on lap 72.
And now we look at the strategy. At this next time around the start-finish line, there will be 40 laps to go. Everybody coming down to the pit lane, but can you make it from here? I'm not sure. It might be close. And Frank Basilia, by the way, the 94, he was rolling. He has just lost the engine on that Ford Fusion, so his night now is officially done.
Yeah, I think they're going to end up with probably about, Hanner overshoots his pit there coming in. Not going to hurt him too bad here, seeing that it's we're under caution. But yeah, that's it's just one. Man, it's just tough to call right there. But I think these guys are going to be they're probably going to be about 5 to 6 laps short, I believe, on fuel. So it's definitely going to play an effect. A little stop and go here towards the end of this race. So it's maybe even split this thing in half. We'll see what happens.
And with that, now you talk about maybe if you get some caution flags, you can save fuel. Outside of that, you probably would want tires if we see another caution. But this resets the entire chase picture. And the big names that we're looking at into this race in specific are the guys at the cut line based on points, which is Josh Hanner, Rod Minton, and as well, Corey Henry. And as well, you got Matt Quick who's in. Chris Bassini, by the way, into tonight. He's still in on points, but he's up by 17. So he's pretty safe. There are still 21 cars on the lead lap, Andy, so we can't ignore the Pennzoil Chevrolet, but he's been a top 10 car all night. He's looking pretty good. The situation is, though, Matt Quick wants to get in. There's a whole lot of names clawing at him. Well, right now, Josh Hanner is third. And then right behind Tim is Rod Minton, who is 22 points out. Minton needs a really good night and a bad night for Quick, Hanner, and Henry to get in. Corey Henry just needed a decent night, something. And maybe a little bit of misfortune for these other guys. Well, Corey Henry right now is still playing the safe strategy. The AMD Chevrolet is 21st. But this is still in Josh Hanner's hands. And there's not a whole lot Matt Quick can do about it because Quick was stuck back in that secondary group. Now that they're all together, he has to do something to that 24. He's 6 spots behind Tim, actually 7 spots behind him, with Hanner being in third. He's got to get up there and pass him.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only option for him at this point. He's got to keep Josh in front of him, literally right in front of him. Josh has led a bunch of laps here tonight, obviously in this last stint, so that's going to help his case. But yeah, the 89's got to get something done here. He's got a few spots to get going or to make up here on this one. He's going to start in the outside lane, which is going to be a slight disadvantage for him. If he can get down to the bottom rather quickly, it might help him out and maybe gain a couple extra spots. But Hanner right now is doing everything in his power he can, leading this race, get the win, and he's in. So there's nothing he needs to worry about. And we've seen it, we've talked about it week after week here, especially the last few weeks. He's getting some good runs. He's finishing up in the top 5 just about every week. So that's what's keeping him close in the points. But the problem is we talked about that victory lane just been not in the cards yet, as of yet of the season. And obviously tonight would be the perfect time to get himself that W. But lots of laps still left to go here. Probably one more pit stop to go, so a lot of things up in the air, but he's definitely put it in his hands. He's where he needs to be up front leading laps and up front in contention to get the win.
I wouldn't be surprised if some of the guys towards the back of the lead lap come in and top off this time by, because it gets them that little bit much closer towards the fuel window. But to make the math easy on everybody, just win the race. If you win the race, you're going on no matter where you sit if you're in the top 30 in points. If you're close, P2, P3, P4, if there's a name that we mentioned that you're fighting against, finish in front of them. There's a couple of guys that I know it's tough as the lanes go out on the pace car, and we always talk about this in scenarios where we have races like the B mains where a guy wrecks out and he's hoping that he still gets the provisional, is the fact that you don't really have a lot of control over those other cars. So Josh Hanner is going to go to the race lead after the top 2 cars came in and topped off on this one. So Hanner goes to P1, and as he takes over the race lead in this, there is nothing that Matt Quick can do if Josh Hanner is winning this race. If Josh Hanner is running in second spot in this race, he can finish in front of him. If Josh Hanner's third, fourth, fifth, all the way down, Andy, he can still finish in front of him. But a lot of guys like Henry and Mitten who are way out, or guys like Piscini who are doing really good, their fate really dictated based on the results of some other guys, which you don't have a whole lot of control over. So we can say the numbers, we can give you the clinching scenarios, but the big thing really that underlies all of that is you can't do anything to those guys. Their fate is based on whatever they do. All you can do is go out there, run your best race, finish in the best spot you can, and just hope the cards fall right at the end of the night.
Yep, make your moves, pick your spots wisely. That's what Matt Quick has to do here in this in the remainder of this race here, is just make sure he can get himself up as quick as he can and where he needs to be. And I mean, he's having a decent race, caught in the middle of the pack early on, but he's made his way up inside the top 10. Now's where he's got to make his moves and make them smart. He doesn't want to put himself out of this thing either.
Pace car going to get down and away. Josh Hanner trying to go to victory lane. The 92 top side trying to challenge. 20 cars on the lead lap left to do battle. Inside of 40 laps to go. This time 37 on the board. Green flag flies. Back and away we go. At a good restart for the inside lane. There's a hole if you want to get down behind Seth the Merchant. The 82 a little bit slow on the accelerator. That's Dan Harrington. The 71, he takes advantage of it. Peterson with his partner.
Yeah, Peterson doing a good job on the bottom side there. Hanner going to protect that yellow line as much as he possibly can. Pushes up just a little bit right there. Good thing that the Merchant didn't get into his rear quarter. That would have sent him spinning right now. Quick point out, though. I didn't notice this till just after we go back green. Matt Quick came down to top off for that green flag, so he's back in that 20th spot right now, hanging on to the end of the draft pack right now. But Matt Quick already making his decision.
He just dropped out of the sim. Matt Quick has just disconnected from the sim. He has received a throughput fall to an unacceptable level, and he is done.
Oh, no.
Matt Quick's number 89 entered tonight 10th on the iSuper Chase grid, in by 3 points, and a connection issue will keep him from fighting for a championship. Wow.
That's
just like that.
Oh, that's not what you want. I mean, even as a competitor, I'm sure Josh Hanner would rather him be out there, race for, even though, as we have contact right there, the 7 of Wofford, not sure exactly
turn
what.
Turn 3
Greg
again.
Hooks.
That's about the third time they've had a big checkup in turn 3.
Yeah, and Greg Hooks got right in the back of Wofford right there going into turn 3. That was amazing. He hung on to it there, went down to the apron. But, man, you just want to be able to. It's just unbelievable that a connection issue, an internet connection issue, is going to take you out of this, and that's just unfortunate right there for Matt Quick, and feel pretty bad for him as this thing shapes out. But it makes that 24. I'm sure his crew has told him what's happened, and I'm sure he's obviously still wants to get the win. He's going to be up there and pushing it, but that's got to be a little bit of a sigh of relief for him.
And Greg Hook's also involved in an accident. His night is done. He was another driver that needed a win to get in. Rodney Wofford is junked after that contact in turn 3. Again, at least the second or third time we've seen a big checkup down to turn number 3. 7 is junked. Good news for Wofford, he's got 3 wins on the season, so it's not that huge of a concern. But I mean, for Matt Quick, an underdog story, trying to make it into this championship, and we always say, and we say it every single time there's something like this happening, but it's like a mechanical issue. So this is like you go to Homestead with 4 drivers in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series tied, and they're all top 5, and one of them loses an engine, or some sort of a freak mechanical issue. That's what happens to Matt Quick. That's what happens as our sim equivalency of something. It's completely unpredictable. There's not a whole lot, if anything, you can do about it, and I don't even expect him to come back in here, because he knew as soon as he dropped out, it would take him at least 3 or 4 laps of racing to get back in. His night was done the second he dropped out of the sim. I can only imagine what he's feeling.
Yeah, hopefully he didn't put a baseball bat through his monitor, but
yeah, they've been using them on the cars, but I don't know. Not a good idea to put it to the PC.
Oh, I hope not. He's still got a race. Still can come out and maybe steal the show and win a race there in the chase anyway. And get a victory and play spoiler, I guess, if you want to call it that. But yeah, that's just you know what it is. It's one of them things, and you look back. Some guys had some issues like that in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series chase this season. A $15 part took the 48 out of commission at Dover, one of his best tracks. So I mean, it's really unfortunate, and like you said, it's something you can't control unless you're stealing Wi-Fi off the McDonald's next door.
Well, Frank Wasilia, he does have McDonald's on board the number 94 machine. Unfortunately, the position that he finds himself in now, 23rd, 7 laps down and out of the race, not working too well. That car kind of looks like what McDonald's Wi-Fi acts as. So Josh Hanner, your race leader, though, back onto this. We've completely reset. There's no more two groups. Everybody's on the same fuel. Everybody's back on the same tire strategy. So maybe by a little bit of luck, although the two-tire guys were still in front, two tires ended up being the way to go because you were in front for this restart. Josh Hanner started P6. Behind him, Seth the Merchant, Christian Peterson, Dan Harrington started 35th, 34th, 32nd respectively. They've blown through the field. The problem is the Merchant's got to win, Peterson's got to win. Hanner needs a win, however, now with Matt Quick dropping out, Josh Hanner just needs to finish 12 spots in front of Corey Henry, or rather, Corey Henry would need to finish 12 spots in front of Hanner. So a top 12 for Hanner gets the job done. That's not the same story for Dan Harrington, Reeves, Rittenauer, Minton, Dahl. Those guys, they need to win. The guys inside the top 3 are good as they run right now, Andy. This time by just 30 laps to go. The guys outside of the top 3, immediately inside the top 10, are not good. Those are the guys that are going to be forced into a situation to literally give it everything you have because your season depends on it.
Yeah, and I don't think you're gonna see the 42 or 71 really push the issue currently right now. Maybe at the end to try to steal the win away from Josh Hanner, but I think as they run right now, I think those guys are content right now to keep that 24 up in front of them. It's not hurting their position at all right now. Corey Henry, the 12, he's doing everything he possibly can to get up to the front because if something happens to Hanner, like you said, he needs those points to get it done. A win also gets these guys in, and you're talking about it right there from that 4th spot on back. They've done what they can up to this point, Evan. They've put themselves in position to be there at the end. That is up here in the front. Now they just got to figure out the fuel situation. Some of these guys might have been able to save enough under that caution. A couple of them might have came down and pit to top off. But for the rest of these guys, especially for Hanner leading the race, you tend to burn a lot more fuel than the guys behind you. Problem for him now is how many laps short is he? Is he going to have to pit? When he pits, what he does on his pit stop, and then the question is, do guys like Corey Henry have enough to make it, and does that spoil it for the 24?
Couple of guys in the pack talking about some connection problems. The 07 to Derek Walker, it's a concern that has been brought into that team as the Alliance Reborn Chevrolet rides in 14th. That's actually a secondary pack that has formed. Shane McEachin in 13th position is 4 seconds away from the 92 of Rod Mitten, and Rod Mitten P12 is within a second from your race leader, last car in the lead group. So McEachin, Walker, and Piscini not all that convinced that we're going green to the end. They're continuing to hang back as an affiliated in team car group back there, playing it safe.
Yep, still playing it safe. There's still a lot of laps left. The problem is they can't fall too far out of touch. But we got a battle for the lead coming up here right now. This 42, Seth the Merchant, and the 71 of Christian Peterson decided enough was enough. They're not going to run behind Hanner right now and keep him up front. They're going to go for the wins here. We talked about last week that Seth the Merchant said he owed the 71 a push to the win. So after he's pushed him to a couple wins here in the late running of this season. So Harrington now moved to the outside. Corey Henry now up into the mix here as they make their way around Rod Flag. I'll give Rod Flag a ton of credit for still being out there in that thing. Not a lot of spots to make up. He's made up a bunch. He's only 4 laps down now, Evan. It's amazing that it's only that much, but he's made his way up into the 20th spot. So I give him a lot of credit for sticking this thing out. He could easily pull that behind the wall and just said my season's done. But he's a trooper. He's out there still logging laps. Yeah, I guess you could say anything can happen, but obviously his championship hopes are out. But he's still out there giving it a go.
Because he's not going to advance with a 20th place finish. So, I mean, you can talk about points, but, I mean, you go to the iSuper Chase because you want to win. You got to get in the chase to win. Rod a flag now. This would be the second season in a row that he gets kept out of the iSuper Chase. Still trying to go 2 times. He's a past champion in this series. But, so there's really nothing for him to get out there. But he's running through it. He's finishing the race. And as you said, inside of a top 20 running position at the moment. With that move, though, by Peterson and DeMerchant in front of the field, everything broke out. We started to go too wide. They were no longer single file running along. So now there's an inside and an outside. We talked about DeMerchant maybe owing his teammate one. Well, Peterson finds himself outside and not with a lot of help. 71 sliding back with the 82 machine on his bumper. So that is some limited support from Dan Harrington, and the 12 machine, behind them, of Corey Henry. He's starting to get back up onto the wheel. He's starting to get back going because he knows that he's got to keep on chugging if he wants any sort of shot at this, because with Matt Quick out of the picture, it is now Josh Hanner on the cut line. And it needs to be 12 positions to the positive, actually just 9 spots with bonuses factored in. Corey Henry needs to beat Josh Hanner by 9 spots. There's 18 spots up for grabs inside of this lead packet, inside of the amount of drivers that are on the lead lap. It's still possible. The 24 might even be in a spot where he doesn't go for the win. And I know I say this, and Andy, they rarely listen to me, but we always say it in the B main, is you're in second. Second is going to get you to the A main. You're good. But they fight for the win, and sometimes they wreck and don't make it. So right now for Josh Hanner, he's a smart guy. You're good in second based on points. I know you want to get the win to advance. It sounds a lot cooler. But I wouldn't take the risk to go to the outside, risk dropping back, and getting eliminated, because if you go to the back of this lead group right now, Corey Henry picks up 4 or 5 spots, you're out. So he's in second right now. He wishes this race would be ending at lap 90, which is where we sit right now, trying to get some air to the nose of that 24 Chevy.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. Oh, Hendrick
way out.
Gets a little bit of tightness right there, I think. It pushes up. I was just going to talk
3
about
again,
him.
I will add.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about him getting back up there into that top 10 spot there. Did a great job. Restarted way out there, about 15th, I think it was, on the on this last restart. So, but anyway, it's always a factor. Listen, I'm good right here. I'll take the second spot. I'll get my points. I'll get into the chase. But at the same time, he's still a racer. And when you're sitting second at a plate track like this, and you got a good opportunity to win, you're still going to try to get that win. Now, does he make a move now? Does he make a move in 5 laps? Probably not. Does he make a move on that last lap? You got to believe he's going to, even though he knows he's safe right now. If he's got an opportunity, he's definitely going to take it. Wait
till the point where if you wreck, you'll skid across the line still.
Yeah, exactly. Coming off turn 4 and go for it then, and then at that point, you can at least make it across the line and then hope the points fall where they are. But for now, I think he's pretty content where he's at. Like I said, I talk about it all the time. You got to be there at the end in order to get the win. And he's done everything right here tonight. Avoided that big wreck at the beginning, if you remember that. And so he's done everything right up to this point. Good pit stops, good strategy, good drafting work, smart moves when he's needed to make them. So he's done everything right here so far tonight, and it's just a matter of finishing this thing out.
And through all of this, we continue to get closer and closer. 21 laps to go, this time by the start-finish line for Seth the Merchant. Hanner, Reeves, Rittenauer, Peterson inside of the top 5 as we go still. Don't get me wrong, the trophy for the Draft Art 300 is nice. Again, it's one of the staple events on the iSuper Speedway calendar, but the championship one is a lot nicer. So you want to be going for that. It's the ultimate goal. And again, we mentioned this earlier on tonight in the IROC race, and we were talking about it, and we come here every single Friday night to race at Daytona and Talladega. We throw Daytona 2007 there into the mix, so if you want to do some supercross in the whoops at 205 miles an hour, you can. But we take these races as normal races. You know, I said that last week was our final feature race, and I say it's just a feature race. It's still Daytona and Talladega. It is extremely difficult to come into this kind of a series and look at a plate track, which in RSR on Monday nights is a huge race. We talked about at Talladega being an elimination race in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, chase for the Full Throttle Cup. Tuesday nights, Daytona is going to be the season finale for the iRacing.com NASCAR Pro Series. But here it's every single week. So you can't say, you know, anything happens. You have to almost expect good finishes out of yourself, which is extremely difficult to do. And this race has kind of been up and down. We saw single file early, single file a lot, then pit stops, and it all broke out when we grouped everybody back up. And now single file again. I believe that might be because they still have to come down to the pit lane, or they're just, again, try to get from right now lap 94, get to the final 10 laps. It all depends on how many laps you think you need to get the job done. However, time's running out for Shane McEachin on back because that secondary group of race cars, McEachin, Walker, and Piscini, now just about 8 seconds away. They're not going to catch him without a yellow. Now 8 seconds back. Also, Kelly Dahl is 15th. Damaged number 11 machine back there in 15th. He's 20 seconds back. Ryan Keese is 26 seconds back, and he's working with the 088 Ken Conley. Those guys aren't really all that badly torn up. They need yellows to get back into this mix. These guys up front, though, they're playing nice for now. But again, I'd keep an eye on Reeves, Rittenauer, Peterson, Figlin. Peterson's in, but Figlin, Anderson, Mitten, and company, because a win would mean so much for them at this point that you thought you saw some blocking and good stuff going on down the backstretch earlier tonight in the IROC race. Just wait until you offer these guys a free pass to the iSuper Chase Away inside of the final 20 laps at Talladega. The top three actually trying to pull away a little bit.
Yeah, they're trying to pull away, and you talk about the driving style and the racing as far as how these guys are going to a wild card race or anything like that. Talk about how trying to be consistent finishes at a plate tracks week in and week out. That's the hard part. I mean, you can be consistent, be a good drafter, be a good plate race driver. We can even say that, put the 24 in this category. He's had a great season. He's been up front, running up front week in and week out, leading some laps. But then there's those, the wild card factor of these races that puts you out of it, and not so much out of contention for the win, but out of contention points-wise. One mistake, and we got 17 cars still on the lead lap. One small mistake, and boom, you're in 17th. That's a lot of points you just lost. So it's really hard to get consistent finishes with plate tracks, even though they do it week in and week out. These guys, it's a lot harder than to be really good at some of these other leagues, and where you run, 3/4 of your season's run on an intermediate mile and a half tracks. If you're really good at mile and a half tracks, you can consistently finish in the top 3 or 5 or whatever and get good points out of it. But for Talladega, Daytona, to have consistent finishes, that's really, really tough. I don't care how good you are or how good of a racer you are. There's just so much factored into it in each week that the consistent finishes is the hard part.
We're almost at lap number 100. You can see these guys are starting to get tight as they push up off of the corner. The handling on the race cars is starting to go away just when they need them the most. Dan Harrington and Glenn Hedrick have fallen off of the lead draft after Hedrick we saw go way high. 82 ended up dropping back with him. So those guys, 3 seconds back outside of the top 10. The lead pack of cars sits at just 9 right now. Corey Henry is P9. Josh Hanner is P2. Corey Henry needs to beat Josh Hanner by 9 spots in tonight's race. It's coming right down to it. Hanner positive 7, though, as they go right now. Seth the Merchant looking to tie Rodney Wofford with the most wins on this Season 5 campaign with the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series. Seth 4th overall in points with 2 wins. Rodney 1st overall with 3 wins. A win is equally as important for these chase guys, not only to play spoiler, but momentum going into this championship. The first 2 races of the chase going to be at Daytona. The next 2 will be at Talladega, and then the finale will be in Daytona once again. But a win, the I-5 bonus. We're talking about Seth the Merchant. If he wins this race or finishes top 5, that's almost a month of not finishing outside of the top 5, Andy. Talk about consistency and peaking when you need that the most.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not impossible to have consistent finishes, but it's one of the things that so much is factored into it that makes it tough, a lot tougher to do that, and that's why you see such a big points gap, and that's why with the win and you're in is such a good thing when you're running plate tracks week in and week out. You want to get that win, get it early in the season, and be done with it, so you know you're in the big show when it matters at the end of it. But I'm trying to do some math. I'm not very good at it, Evan.
Don't look to me for it.
Yeah. I'm almost wondering. I'm blowing up my calculator here. I'm almost wondering about what the 10, the 088, and the 11. We talked about those guys not having much damage, but they're not getting much speed. I almost wonder if they're trying to save fuel. Although I just heard on the radio,
yeah,
that
they're talking pit stops.
Pit road.
And the 38 of Jeff Figlin, I believe, on the radio just said that he's coming down to the pit lane now, Andy. These guys don't care anymore. There's no secrecy. These guys are asking somebody, I'm coming down pit road, over the public channel. All of the drivers can hear them. Normally you'll strategize, you'll whisper around. They need somebody that badly to come down to the pit lane to get services. Here they all come. DeMerchant down to the pit lane. The 0-2 of Reeves is flying in. Could he slow her down in time? He does. DeMerchant almost spinning, though. That wasn't a very aggressive entry for a lot of guys.
That was the most amazing entry right there. The 0-2 of
wide.
Mitchell Reeves. That was just unbelievable. Able to get that thing wound up like that. You can see who the conservative driver was on that entry right there. Definitely the 24 of Josh Hanner. The only thing he had to worry about was maybe getting run over, and it was really close with Justin Anderson right there. Looks like fuel only for the 24. They're going to head back out. A couple other guys ahead of them, maybe 2 tires right there. Trying to get back up to speed. Look who comes out right behind. Ooh, the 12 having some issues there trying to get out. He was coming out right behind the 24 of Hanna right there. A couple other guys having some issues. Look at the 71 through the grass right there.
That's Peterson.
Yeah, having some issues with the no tires, trying to get up to speed.
Yeah, Kelly Dahl was slow coming out of the pit lane. The number 11 machine had spun out across the start-finish line, exiting pit road, Andy. These guys come by the 11. They have to duck low to avoid, and Peterson, half on the flat, half on the bank, spins into the grass. There's no caution flag. He's already in the chase, so it does not hurt him, but it hurts those guys that they were working with, because that was one large pack of cars that has now been separated. And meanwhile, Shane McEachin, Derek Walker, Chris Bassini come down together after staying out. They will exit the pit lane and try to go to the race lead, and the 20 to McEachin almost spins out of pit road. And now spinning out of pit road is the 07. I don't know if there's oil down there or something, but nobody can keep the tires hooked up.
Yeah, you know what that is nobody took tires on that.
McEachin's in the grass.
It was a splash and go, and that's what the problem. We saw it with the guys when they made that first round of green flag pit stops early in the race. It only took 2 tires. We saw how they struggled to get back out on the racetrack. Now these guys are doing it with no tires. It's going to make it tough. That was definitely tough for those guys to get out. That's going to mix up the running order a lot here. We'll have to see how things shake out here once everybody's made their final pit stops here. It looks like a couple guys, Shane McEachin, those guys, they came in a little bit earlier than Mitchell Reeves and those guys, so we'll see if they can catch up to him there. Mitchell Reeves, though, he's going to get past right now with the freight train. He was one of the only ones that was able to get off without spinning the tires, and now he's going to pay for it because he had no help.
It was a very good pit road in and out, but it began because everybody else had problems. It ended up being a very bad in and out, and this leaves now Josh Hanner to the race lead, the 24, with the push from Seth the Merchant, your leader down the back straightaway. Now inside of 10 laps to go at Talladega. Talk about throwing a monkey wrench into this one towards the end of it all. 0-2 machine, though. He's got help. Does he go topside? He does. Corey Henry's number 12 is there, and everybody right now inside of the top 5. You got the 2 on the bottom, the 24 to Hanner, the 42 to Merchant. They're good. They are in the championship as of now. Seth is in no matter what. These other 3 guys need to pass that 24 to race for a title.
Yeah, and that's the other big thing. This is the 24 going to do everything he can to keep them guys out. Like you said, the more guys that get in, the more chance that, there's more cars that have the opportunity to win the championship and take it away from you. So a lot of these guys, Seth the Merchant and Josh Hanner, are probably thinking that in their mind too. They want to keep it up front. We know Hanner's going to make it at least on points. So, I mean, if he doesn't get the win, he doesn't get the win. But, if they can keep the 92, 12, and 02 behind them guys, that's one less car that's going to be in the chase, that's going to be battling these guys for that championship starting next week.
The top two, 0.2 of a second to the good. Rod Mitten single files out in third. Corey Henry fourth. Mitchell Reeves in fifth. It is 10 seconds back to Chris Passini, Justin Anderson and company. You have Ray Rittenauer, Shane McEachin, Derek Walker, Dan Harrington, Glenn Hendrick, Jeff Figlin, Ryan Keese, Kent Connolly, all the way through 15th position that are over 10 seconds back. They need a yellow. So we go from having a top 5 breakaway to having a caution, to grouping them back up, to now having a top 5 breakaway. Hanner to Merchant 1-2. I know Seth wants to win, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, but with 2 guys in this position right now, I wouldn't expect them to do too much. The outside is a viable place to go. You have Mitten, Henry, and Reeves. Those are 3 drivers that would like to go to victory lane to have a shot to go to the championship if they're inside of the top 30 in points. 3 cars could probably beat 2, but you're talking about trying to beat 2 of the best drivers in the series.
Yeah, and then you're also who's going to be the first one to jump to the outside. Rod Mitten's watching his rearview mirror of the 12 of Henry to see what type of run he gets, because if he's going to try to go to the outside, Rod wants to be out in front of him, because if Rod's out in front of him, then he's got an opportunity to win this thing. So right now I think they're just trying to log it out till the end of this thing and maybe try to make a move here in the last couple laps, but they're going to have to definitely plan it out here. But Rod Mitten, I think I think I'd rather be in Corey Henry's spot right now with the opportunity to maybe fake out Rod Mitten to get a run on the outside of him to get around him, because if Rod Mitten gets in front of him, that takes the win away from Corey Henry.
So Rod Mitten, who runs in third spot right now on track, started in 22nd tonight in this race. And you take a look at where this driver would find himself if you're talking about the championship and what he needs. He is 9th in the championship. A win would be good enough for him to get his ticket in. Corey Henry in the championship is 8th. So a win would be good enough for him to get in. And then you talk about the 0-2 of Mitchell Reeves, talking about where that driver sits and what he's looking for in order to punch his ticket and get into the championship. Well, he's P5 right now on the racetrack. The question is, where does he sit in points? 21st. So he's eligible also. So everybody inside of the top 5 right now with the win makes the chase. Seth the Merchant is locked in. Josh Hanner, as long as he doesn't fall back outside of the top 15, he is good at this moment, because Corey Henry needs to beat him by 12 spots to get him on points. But other than that, I'm afraid if I'm Seth the Merchant and Josh Hanner, because those guys are going to be all over you, and they're going to be on him just 4 laps to go, this time by the start-finish line. How late is too late to make a move?
Yeah, I don't know if Rod Mitten's having trouble getting back to the back bumper right now, Seth the Merchant, or if he's doing it on purpose, but you think he would try to kind of see what the car has right now, but I don't know if those guys... I can't quite tell if they have maybe a little bit of front-end damage that's maybe hindering their ability right now, but it doesn't seem that at this point, maybe it could be the old tires, that they're not drafting to each other, up to each other like they were earlier in the race. So Rod Mitten now going to the outside, or at least peaking right now, because Corey Henry's trying to get something done out there. But like right now, it just doesn't seem like they're able to get that draft speed out of these cars right now. And I'm not sure, Evan, if it's a little bit of damage or if it's just the product of the old tires. But starting to make a move now, though, as they just when I say that, they start to close the gap right now. And here comes Corey Henry now, kind of looking to the outside. Now Rod Mitten's going to go look to the outside.
Him out.
Now Henry to the inside. This is getting crazy quickly.
They're betraying each other. The 92 goes up to join them. They duck back to the bottom. The 12 does have front-end damage, and the 92 with left front damage. How severe that damage is, we don't know. They are still there, though, with Josh Hanner and Seth the Merchant. I think if the 24 and the 42 work together, you're not going to beat them. However, if Seth turns on the 24 and wants to win, then it's anybody's game. At turn number 4, they work to the inside on the lap car. The number 33 machine of Larry Camp falls now 52 laps to the negative. but continues to race this one out. Just 2 laps to go, though, on regular season racing. Josh Hanner at the point. They single file now in 1 and 2. DeMerchant, Henry, Reeves, and Mitten. The top 5 running order. They're not doing anything yet. Actually, it looks like the 92 Rod Mitten starting to slowly fall off as that last car in the train.
Yeah, and that's a tough spot to be in right there. And I think, you know what I think, Evan, too, is that, you know, it's the worn out tires making your car tight coming off the corner, and that scrubs your speed when you got to really turn that wheel to get it to turn. So I think for Rod Mitten, that's what's hurting him right now. I think the only thing that's saving Corey Henry right now is the fact that he was able to get the draft of the 42. I honestly don't think Corey Henry's got what it takes to get up and battle for this lead at this point. I think the damage is too much, and just not having the fresh tires, and the fact that the 02 of Mitchell Reeves just can't get to his back bumper right now to even get remotely give him a push to even attempt to try to pass these two.
Half a lap to go. They're still single file. Josh Hanner looking for a trip to the chase. Corey Henry, Mitchell Reeves, Rod Mitten. Where they run right now is not close enough. Turn number 4 for the final time. You got to give it all you got. Here we go. DeMerchant to the outside of the racetrack on Josh Hanner. Corey Henry's going to follow him to the inside. 3 wide. He shuts the door. The 24 spins through the tri-oval. There goes Josh Hanner. Seth DeMerchant's going to get the win and walk away a winner. Hanner, though, might not make it to the start-finish line. He's got to get going. Corey Henry slides across in 4th. Where does Josh Hanner finish? He's got to go to the start-finish line, the number 24 machine. He will get across and finish in 5th position. So as of now, Josh Hanner would get that final spot on points. But Andy, Rod Mitten had it. That was his, or rather, Corey Henry had it in that 12 car. Went to the outside. He followed DeMerchant. He went to the inside. That move may have won him this race. Hanner blocks him, though, and they both go down.
Yeah, that was. You knew it was just gonna. You know, it was so quiet and so calm, and then all of a sudden, there it was. It all broke out off of turn number 4, and man, I guess Seth DeMerchant wanted the win that bad. You know, he did a great job right there. You know what? I would, if I was Josh Hanner, I would have been like, all right, he's helped me out to get my win. And then you see him move out, and you're like, no, you know, you just have this. You have to, then all of a sudden it clicks in your mind, oh, where's the 12, you know? And by that point, it was already too late. The 12 was already onto the inside.
It was just like an IROC. That car in the middle, he goes up, and you forget about that guy behind you, because you're looking at the guy topside. And by the time you remember the guy behind you is going to the inside, it's too late. We saw the exact same accident in turn 3 for the IROC race. So no debrief this one, but a wild finish at Talladega. By the way, the race is under review. We'll get some official results and get you ready for the 5th installment of the iSuper Chase in a moment. The wrap up from Talladega in a moment. You're watching the iSuperspeedway.com racing series on LSRTV.
the outside, contact made. 56 slides it into 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even. Give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval, and that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself, and they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building two tracks in one. It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result, and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it.
Domino's TYJ Racing League is proud to announce we are now taking driver applications for our $2,500 purse inaugural season going green January 2016. At Domino's TYJ Racing League, you get paid cash, not gift cards or die casts. Cold, hard cash. You get paid for finishing 1st through 20th in our championship and 1st through 3rd, plus a lucky dog bonus in all of our 20 races, plus other cash bonuses. You're going to like the way you look. All the way to the bank. I guarantee it. Purse amount approximate, paid cash or iRacing books. Drivers carry less than $20. Report unsafe driving to local authorities. Apply today at Domino'sTYJRacing.com to see if you qualify for our league. And join our preseason Thunder tryout races Saturday nights at 8 p.m. through the end of 2015 to see if you have what it takes to make the cut and some cash.
Did you know that lions' sense of vision is so powerful, it actually enables nearby creatures to see better? Here we see lions.
We're back live at the Talladega Superspeedway post-race from the Draft Tart 300. Seth the Merchant with his third consecutive victory. Goes back to back to back. And Andy, as I said earlier, you talk about momentum. This has got to be going for the 42 into the iSuper Chase. We have the official numbers and more. We'll get to the chase grid in a moment. Until then, going to get caught up with some of our top finishers. Down on the pit lane with your third place finisher tonight with Rod Mint, the number 92 Monster Energy Assault Chevrolet. Comes home on the bottom step of the podium tonight, P3. And we've caught up with him down in the pit lane. And Rod, congratulations to you for a very good finish here tonight. In a position where you were driving that car worth everything it had, trying to get that car to victory lane, and single file at the end, everybody was waiting to jump out and make a move. You come home in third position. That is just shy of a chase berth, but a very strong run for you tonight at Talladega. Talk us through what you're thinking.
Yeah, cool to be on the podium again. I think maybe second time in 3 weeks here. I really wanted to get the win tonight. Knew that's kind of what I needed with Hanner still running good up front to get in the chase. Had to get a win. I think everybody up front pretty much needed a win, maybe except for Seth. And for your single file, I just kept trying to get a run or something. 12 didn't want to go. He wanted to try to advance his position to try to get close to get a win too. Understandable. Just kind of frustrating the race in the night, kind of single file, but it was fun at the end. They started wrecking. I didn't know what was going to happen, but glad to come home third. Another good run. These endurance races have been good for our team, and just hope to finish out the season strong.
In this, the longest race on the year, the official number is going to be your 10 points shy of making it. And then as well, Corey, who was there with you, actually, he's 10 points shy. You were just 7 points shy of making that cut for the final spotted on points. So, although you're not going to be able to fight for a championship this season, you talked about your performance over the last couple of weeks. Tonight marks what is a pretty good statistic. Pick it up the 5th time that you come home inside of a top 5 finishing position here on the season, which is best out of most of these drivers. I mean, that's a tied statistic with names like Rodney Wofford, Josh Ball, and even better than Seth the Merchant, guys that have absolutely dominated and are the top favorites going into this chase. So for you guys to have good numbers like that, what kind of reassurance does it give you going forward? And I know we're just getting started really to determine our Season 5 champion, but looking forward to Season 6, knowing that you guys have the cars and you got the talent to get the job done.
I'm really looking forward to Season 6. We'll be merging with some of the guys from Mitchell Reeves' team over there. We'll be picking them up for the new charter system. But yeah, I'm ready for next year, ready to go back and try to get in the chase. Still want to finish the season out strong. I think I can still get a win. Sucks knowing I missed a race this year in the regular season. Without that, I might have been able to put it into the chase there. But we'll come back and we'll get some wins, finish out the year for sure.
And now we look forward, 5 races left on the year. You guys just short of that. So you're going to be racing, as you said. That means 5 more opportunities to walk away with some hardware on the season. Do you race any differently when we go into this chase, knowing that you're not one of those chase guys? Or for you, is it business as usual, and that is go out there, drive a clean race and a hard race?
Yeah, for me, that's just going to be the key, staying clean. Usually race guys pretty clean anyway, especially going for wins. I don't really want to wreck anybody for a win, so I'll treat the chase drivers the same way. I think we can go out and get at least one.
Well, it was a good finish for you tonight, and again, it's a P6 in the points at this moment, but that is your 5th top 5 finish, rather, on the season that ties for the most amongst drivers this year. So it's a very strong run for you. Any sponsors or shout-outs that you want to thank while we got you here?
Let's give a shout-out to Rod Flag putting this on, having a lot of fun. Shout out to iRacing and LSRTV putting all this on. The broadcast is awesome. Having fun every week.
All right, well, it looked like a fun one there. I know you come home just short, but it was another great run for you and the Monster Energy team. Thanks for sticking around and chat, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. I hope you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving off week there.
All right, will do. See you later.
So Rod Minton comes home 3rd tonight behind the wheel at 92. Mitchell Reeves, another name in that conversation, needed a trip to victory lane to make things exciting. 13th in points, it was his only hope, and 1 position short at the start finish on it. It's still a top 5 finish, and Andy Kessler, you've caught up with the driver of the O2.
Yeah, I have caught up with driver of the O2, Mitchell Reeves, and Mitchell, one spot from coming home with a chance to get into this chase. You got to be pretty, I guess, excited about the run. Being up front there at the end when it matters. That's what it's all about when you come into these plate tracks. But you got to tell us how. I mean, 1 spot short. That's got to be tough to swallow. But at the same time, you got to be pretty excited about the finish.
Yeah, I'm excited for the 2nd place. But I knew coming into this race there was 1 spot I needed, and it was the one that was ahead of me. Definitely sucks being that close to getting there. This is really the first night I feel like I went for it the whole time. I've kind of had the mentality to just stay back, wait for the wrecks. But, we went for it tonight, and it paid off. We had a podium finish, but I needed the 1st place to be there. But, for my first podium of the year, can't be too discouraged about it. But, maybe we can just build on this in the next season, and maybe we can take another shot next year at it. Maybe get some wins by the end of the year.
We'll talk about building on momentum. Racing plate tracks week after week after week we talked about it during the broadcast. It's a tough thing to get consistent finishes week in and week out, as opposed to, running in a series maybe that runs, 3/4 of their season on 1.5-mile tracks where, maybe you're really good at 1.5-mile tracks, and maybe that, putting together a huge string of top 5s in a row and getting yourself up in the top of the standings is something that's more feasible. But when you talk about this, I mean, we talk about the fields here are just that competitive. Everybody has a chance to win these things every week when they come into these races, and the competition being that high, it makes it that much harder to win these races. And when you talk about getting consistent finishes week after week, to do that at plate tracks is also tough because the inevitable happens. You could be running a perfect race, but get caught up in somebody else's mess, and that's typically what happens here. So you talk about building momentum and this, and maybe moving forward here. Obviously, 5 races left in the season. Using this momentum to maybe steal one of these wins away from these chase guys going for the championship.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's our goal. I think tonight really showed me, laying back's a good idea, but it's also good to be ahead of the wrecks too, which fortunately I was ahead of all of them tonight. So hopefully we'll be seeing the 0-2 up in the front a lot more often. Huge shout out to Seth. We were going to pit road, and that was really cool to see him save that car. I didn't think it was going to happen, so huge shout out to him and saving that, and a good win by him. But it was a great race. A lot of strategy, and like you said, anybody can win them, but this was one of those races that you really had to be careful with your tires, or you would have gotten in the wall like some guys did there about halfway through.
Yeah, we saw a lot of guys struggling getting off pit road on that last one. A lot of guys, when they get on the throttle with the old tires, because everybody was doing a splash and go there just to make it to the end, making it tough. I do want to say that last green flag pit stop there, getting onto pit road, I think you passed about 6 cars getting onto pit road, and that definitely made a difference and got you up to the front, and you were able to capitalize that and come home with a second-place finish. But since we got you up here in the second place, sponsors, shout-outs, who helps you get you here every week?
Well, definitely first huge shout out to Rod Flagg. He's made some changes in the league this year that, it's made it a lot more fun and more competitive. It's not just about the race itself, but the strategy as well. So huge shout out for everything he does. LSRTV, first and foremost. Dingleberry Motorsports, Ray Rittenhauer, Matt Quick. He had some tough luck tonight. All Pro Racing, all the guys that's gotten me here, all the friends watching. Just everybody that's been here to watch, and another huge shout out to Seth for the win.
There you have it. Congratulations again on the second place finish, and hopefully we'll see you in victory lane before the season's out. There he is, second place finisher here tonight, Mitchell Reeves in the 0-2. But for the third week in a row, I think you got to catch up with that 42 again. He's been doing something right, starting in the back and then finishing up in that top spot every week.
It's the scheduled Seth the Merchant debrief tonight at Talladega. We talk about consistency and we talk about momentum coming into the championship and how good it would be when Seth was running top 5 and we said he could get a bunch of top 5s in a row. Gets the win, though. That marks 3 trips to victory lane consecutively for the driver of the 42. And just like that, not only is he tied for the most wins on the season out of any drivers, but could quite possibly be in the catbird seat as the favorite to win an iSuperspeedway championship. Caught up in a pit lane with your draft chart, 300 winners, Seth the Merchant. Seth, congratulations. 35th to first. You passed 34 cars. How'd you do it?
I don't know, man. Me, Christian, Rodney, we worked together through the race. We got up through the field, man, and luck was just on our side.
Single file there at the end through the pit strategy, through a caution flag. First off, you probably should have been penalized for coming down to the pit lane, and somehow that car didn't speed.
Yeah, I hit 60, I think, right at the line. It was close, but luckily it didn't give me one.
So you guys get back out there. It's single file, and we're waiting for something to happen because you got the 24 up there. If he finishes in the top 5, he makes the chase. If he wins, he makes the chase. You're good. 3 guys behind you need to win. How much of that was really just being content with wherever you would end up? Or, how concerned were you with those 3 guys behind you knowing that they'd have to do something drastic to get it done?
Well, they were trying to make the Highline work, and I knew with the set we were running tonight, it was really tight, so you couldn't really pass on the top unless you got a massive run off the turn, and you had to make the passes on the straightaway, so I wasn't really worried about them. I really wanted to help Hanner make the chase. I hope he made it. I'm not quite sure yet, but
he did qualify in on points.
All right, yeah. That's really what my main concern was because he helped me a lot last season, and obviously I want to win, so I wasn't just gonna give it to him there, and we made it to the line first.
So you get the job done. We have next week off for the Thanksgiving break, and then we go back at it. It's time for the iSuper Chase. We're going to have the super round of what is going to be, I think, 10 drivers, the official number. 2 trips to Daytona, an A main and a B main and an endurance race. Then we go to the Superior 6 round, an A main and a B main race at Talladega, an endurance race, and then the finale in Florida in Daytona for the final round. With the way this is set up, there's a dose of every single kind of racing we've seen all season at both tracks we've seen all season. The 42 has done this one time around now. How confident are you at your chances?
Oh, really confident. With the help of Rodney and Christian now working together in this chase, I think all three of us have a really good shot at being in the final 3. Really looking forward to next couple races here, and hopefully we can all make it and just battle it out at the end.
We look forward to that finale in Florida 400, however, not until January the 15th. There's a lot of racing until we get to that point, but you guys make over a big hump tonight, and that is you do qualify for the iSuper Chase by a pretty good margin with 3 trips to victory lane, Seth. Back to back to back. You got to feel pretty good on momentum going into this thing. But again, with the win tonight and a very good performance by you, your team, and everybody that you were working with. Sponsors and shout-outs. They're getting a lot of airtime the past couple of weeks, but who makes it happen for you?
I just got to thank P-Money Designs for designing our cars, and all the guys at Six Man, and Rodney Wofford and Christian Peterson for working with me these past couple races. I just can't believe I've got 3 in a row. That's pretty crazy.
And we will see if you can translate that into a championship in not all that long now. Seth, thanks for sticking around and chatting. Maybe we'll talk to you next time we come on Friday night also, if you keep it up. But do want you to enjoy your Thanksgiving off week, so we wish you the best, and we'll see you in 2 Fridays from now when it's back to business.
All right. Thanks a lot, man.
That is Seth the Merchant, your winner tonight at the Talladega Super Speedway. Reeves, Mitten, Henry, not enough in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, Andy.
Yeah, but you know what? Like we talked about on pit road with these guys, they were there. They had a chance. It's not like they, finished in the 20s or got wrecked out early. These guys did what they had to do. They were up front when it mattered the most. Gave themselves an opportunity to get it done and get themselves into the chase. But unfortunately, they just ran into a real hot driver right now that's seemed to not be able to do anything wrong at the moment. Seth the Merchant's just been on a rail lately, and we talk about how it's hard to get consistent finishes at plate tracks week in and week out. And for some, it's just not top 3s he's getting or top 5s. He's getting 3 wins in a row. It's pretty amazing feat for him to do, and hopefully they can keep it going. Everything they've done over the past few weeks has definitely been something to watch out for, and maybe some of these other guys are taking notes, and they can turn it up in the chase.
So let's take a look at the drivers that will compete for an iSuper Speedway Championship. Tied for the top seed are Seth the Merchant and Rodney Wofford, each with 3 wins. They'll join the party. Josh Ball, Frank Busilia, Brandon Chiburko, Shane McEachin, Christian Peterson, and Jason Altmans. Chris Piscini will get in based on points, and Josh Hanner passes Matt Quick in the final race of the season to join in on points as well. And those are the 10 drivers that make up our chase grid.
Yeah, that's, listen, that's a stout field. When you're talking about going for a championship, you want the best of the best going at it, each other, and there's no better way than the guys who have won who are in. And those are the guys that are going to be battling it out over the next 5 weeks, or we'll call it 6 after the holiday break here next week. But and then you talk about the 2 guys that have made it in on points. They've done it because they've had consistent finishes. They haven't found victory lane yet, but they have an opportunity to do it in these final 5 races. So the best of the best, the ones that have gotten the wins all season long, those are the guys that are going to get it done in the championship hunt. And it's a stout field for that championship. All those guys well deserving, obviously, of winning a championship. You got past champions in that mix, and you got guys looking to get their first one. So it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be interesting to watch and see what plays out and the strategies that can play out with the main splits that we're going to have in some of the races, and, of course, with the endurance races like we had here tonight. So looking forward to it. Can't wait. Kind of glad we got a week off to take a breather from it and get ready for it, but it's going to be an exciting 5 weeks once it gets going.
And iSuperspeedway.com, the place to be for all the information on that. You can also follow them on Twitter at iSuperspeedway and on Facebook at facebook.com/iSuperspeedway. Not only is this championship on the line, IROC and Rodakar Truck Tour as well get set to dish out trophies between now and the 15th of October, and LSRTV is your home for the race through the chase. You can keep up to date with us online at livesimracing.com, but on Facebook at facebook.com/livesimracingtv for all the information and all of that good stuff as we rock you through to the final round, not only of this, but sim racing almost every night of the week. Tomorrow night, we have United Sim Racing Trucks. Sunday, it's the Pacific Majors Championship race. It's Real Sim Racing Championship coming up on Monday. More NASCAR iRacing.com pro stuff on Tuesday, and so much more. Again, that full broadcast schedule can be found on our website. But the iSuper Chase Grid is set, and we hope to have an opportunity to catch up with these drivers sometime between now and the opening race in 2 weeks' time from Daytona on the 4th of December. Until then, though, the regular season is in the books, and tonight's doubleheader on LSRTV and iRacing Live draws to a close. So on behalf of everybody at LSRTV and for the team tonight, myself, Evan Pasocco, Andy Kessler, as big thanks also to Jared Haggerty and our executive producer, Laura Lawson. We thank you for tuning in. Congrats to Seth the Merchant. 3 wins in a row. Look out, because he's coming. He'll join 9 other drivers to fight for a championship in December. This has been the iSuperspeedway.com racing series on LSRTV. We'll see you when we go chase racing in 2 weeks from tonight. Good night.